Hello everyone, my name is Kodamore and welcome back to the LibGDX Game Dev Guide. This episode is for if you're going to be using Eclipse to follow along with this series. If you already set up IntelliJ in the last video, you can skip this video. So in Eclipse, you're going to want to go up to the File menu and click Import to import a project. You're going to want to expand the Gradle folder and click Existing Gradle Project. Now, LibGDX generated this thing called a Gradle project for us, and Gradle is basically a build tool that helps manage multiple projects and dependencies. So LibGDX creates a separate project for all of our platforms like desktop and Android and iOS, so Gradle is the thing that kind of connects those projects together nice and easily. And Eclipse will basically do all the hard work with Gradle for us, and we won't have to interact with it too much manually. So we'll click Next on this wizard, and next we have to select the project root directory. That's the project folder that the LibGDX setup tool created for us. So I'll click the Browse button, and you're going to want to browse to that project folder, your Zentaris folder, that LibGDX generated for you, and select that main project folder. Next we can click Next. We can skip all of this information, select Next again, and this will begin importing your Gradle project. Once the loading has completed, you'll notice that your project will be listed, and underneath it will be all these different names for Android, Core, Desktop, any other projects that you generated. And you can go ahead and click Finish. This will create all of the separate projects in Eclipse right here. So the two main projects that we're going to be focused on are the desktop project. So if you expand that and go into the source folder and go into the package, you'll notice that there's this desktop launcher.java class. This is the class that runs to start your application for the desktop for a computer. Next is the core project. And if you expand the source directory of the core project, here is our main game class, and LibGDX pre-generates some example code in this class, that way we can test out our application right now. And all of our main game code, pretty much 99.9% of it, is going to go into this core project, and all the other projects, like the Android project and desktop project, all use these files in the core project. So to start our game with Eclipse, it should be as simple as going to the desktop launcher in your project here, make sure the desktop launcher is selected, and click the green play button. This should open up our game, and we'll see the Bad Logic Games logo drawn to the screen, and that means we are able to run our application, but we're not done yet. First of all, feel free to ignore those warnings down here. That's just due to how I have my JDK set up. You probably won't have these. That has nothing to do with LibGDX or anything. But one thing that you do need to do is right-click on your desktop project and go down to the properties of it and go to the Java build path. So the first thing I want to mention is that if pressing that play button didn't work, it might be because the Java build path, this source here, did not link the proper assets folder. And basically the assets folder changes locations based on whether or not you generated an Android project or not. So if I go into my project folder here that generated, I generated an Android project. So if I go into the Android folder, you'll notice that I have this assets folder. This assets folder is where you're going to want to keep all of your images and sounds, everything that has to be loaded in for your game. And that's found in the Android project. However, if you did not generate an Android project, that folder will actually be inside of your core project. You'll have an assets folder here instead. So the location of that assets folder is going to change based on whether or not you generated an Android project. So if your game didn't work, make sure you go to the source tab here under Java build path, and you add a folder and basically select the location of your assets folder, whether it's in your Android project or the core project. And you can simply add that here or change the one if it already exists. Step 2 is that we have to change our working directory, or else your file paths are going to be different than what I'm going to be using in this series. To change that, you're going to want to go down to Run/Debug Settings. You're going to click this desktop launcher here and click Edit. And this describes to Eclipse how to start up your project. And you're going to want to go to the Arguments tab. And down here you'll see Working Directory. We want to set this to our Assets folder. That way all of the file paths that we use in our project are going to be relative to that Assets folder. So I'll select Other, I'll click the Workspace button, and I'm going to open up my Android project because I have one. If you don't, you'll open up your core one, and select the Assets folder in there, and click OK. That will set your working directory so all file paths are relative to your Assets folder. Click OK, apply and close, and you should be able to go ahead and start your game just like that. I hope this video helped you out, and now we're ready to get game programming. I'll see you all next time.